Everyone, good morning. A few weeks ago, I was so lucky to have been able to find and photograph a mink out here in this area. And over the course of a few days, I was able to observe him, record a lot of its behavior, its patterns, and all that information. And it's just been wonderful because as I've gone back and reviewed that information, I feel like I've been able to learn a lot more about this beautiful species. Before that time spent with that mink, I really just didn't know what to expect or look for when searching for these little animals. So again, as I've gone back, I've reviewed that information and I've just learned so much about their behavior and their patterns, at least that specific mink that I was watching. So in this week's video, I wanted to review with you guys what information I actually collect and record when observing wildlife and how I use that information to find other individuals within that species. So this week my goal is to come out here, use the information that I collected, take you guys right along with me as I go out and search for other mink to photograph in this area. So this morning I'm just out here trying to use this information to see what I can find, and I'm about to go out searching for some other mink. So without further ado, let's go. So before I jump into what information I look for and collect in my wildlife journal, let's rewind a little bit. Whenever I start my search for a species, I generally begin in the same way. I do a little bit of research. So this is my go-to book when looking for mammals in North America, for example. And this book is wonderful. It tells me a lot of information. It tells me about that species' habitat, their diet, basic behavior. You get the idea. It tells me a lot of information about that species. So you may ask, if this book tells me all that information, why do I look for and collect my own information when watching a species? One thing you have to understand when looking for wildlife, different populations of a species in different areas may act a little bit differently. So while this book gives me a wonderful overview of a species, if I'm going from area to area looking for that species, their behavior may differ a little bit. So anytime you can collect more specific information about a species, you increase your chances of being able to find that species within that area that you're looking. So for example, this book says that the mink is an accomplished swimmer and spends much time hunting in ponds and streams. Often out by night, it adapts its hunting time to prey availability. That is wonderful information to begin with. But from the behavior that I've been able to observe from my previous observations within this area, I've been able to identify about a 3-hour window that the mink in this area are most active. So I'm going to do most of my searching for mink in this area within that 3-hour window, which I'm in right now. Also an example in this book, it says that mink dens is a protected place near water using a muskrat burrow or a hollow log or digging its own den in a stream bank. Again, wonderful, wonderful information to start with. But again, from my previous observations of mink in this area, I've been able to identify their preferred types of dens that they use in this area. So it's those features in the landscape that I'm going to look for when looking for mink in this area. So again, this is a wonderful starting point, but I will collect and document my own information in a wildlife journal. So the easy answer to what information do I collect when searching for wildlife, well, it's everything. I collect as much information as possible. But if you're just getting started, a good starting point is to collect location, time, date, basic behavior, gender, if you can get that information, and basic weather conditions. This will give you a really good starting point to go off of, and it'll help you be able to find additional animals within that species at a future time and date. So let's run through an example with these mink in this area, and we'll go out and see if we can find anything. As I said before, I've identified about a 3-hour window when about 90% of my extended mink observations or sightings have taken place. So we're in the middle of that window right now, and I'm just keeping a sharp eye out for any mink that might be moving through this area. I've also been able to identify some preferred terrain features that the mink in this area like to have nearby or incorporate into their dens and their burrows. So as I make my way along and through the landscape, those are things that I'm looking for in the landscape, different terrain features that I'm looking for in particular. And I found that the best way to spot mink within this area is just to keep an eye out for movement along the riverbank as they make their way along, searching for food within this 3-hour window. So let's get going and see what we can find with this information that I've been able to collect previously. This is great. I spotted a mink. I was headed along the riverbank just looking for food and whatnot. It came out into the river for a little bit and swam around looking for fish. It came up empty-handed, or empty-pawed, I guess, but it left and continued downstream. So I'm gonna hustle. I want to keep up with it, but I've got to do so as quickly and quietly as possible. Oh my goodness. I am like shaking with excitement. I have not one, but 5 minks here. So it turns out that was Mom making her way along the riverbank looking for food, and she's come back to her den now, and there's 4 kids with her. So I'm gonna take some deep breaths to stop myself from shaking and see if I can get some photographs of these guys. This is incredible, but you know, enough of me. I'm gonna try to get these guys, and I'll fill you in a little bit. Wow. That was just absolutely amazing. Never in my wildest dreams when I was planning today out did I expect anything like that. That was absolutely incredible. I've never had the opportunity before to photograph and observe an entire family of minks, so that was just fantastic to watch them interact with each other and jump around. That was so much fun. They've headed into their den now, and they actually kept pretty true to that 3-hour activity window that I talked about earlier in this video. So that's just wonderful information to have. It helps me establish some more consistency with the population of mink out here in this area. Just again, wonderful information to have. That was just so much fun. I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. I hope it's showed you what information I collect, why I collect it, and how I use it in finding animals to photograph. And I'll be honest with you guys, my thoughts are a tad jumbled right now just with the excitement of these minks. So please, if anything was unclear or if you have any questions whatsoever, just let me know and I'll be sure to clear those up for you, answer any questions you may have. I need to get the details from this morning written down in my journal before I forget the specifics. So I'm gonna do that and head out of the area. I've got a storm blowing in right now. But if you guys have enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it around. That helps me out so much. And let me know down in the comments what projects you guys are working on. I always love hearing from you. I bet you can guess pretty easily what I'll be doing over the next few days now that I know that these minks are in the area. But thank you so much for following along this week. I always appreciate the support. Be safe out there, you guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.